So from one crazy blue chip NIL quarterback situation to another one, these two have been similar but different in the way that they've just created buzz surrounding players who have a lot of potential that haven't come anywhere close to realizing yet because of things that have happened off the field, not necessarily things that have happened on the field. Rashada's had an injury, but I don't think that's the problem here. So what's not the problem is his new destination. Jaden Rashada, who is one of the most well-traveled quarterbacks in all of college football. If you're unfamiliar with the story or haven't memorized it just yet, he committed to Miami. He flipped to Florida. He signed there, requested to be released from his national letter of intent over an NIL dispute. He went to Arizona State, played in a few games, got hurt, came back, fought for the job, didn't get it, went to Georgia, didn't play, hit the portal. Now he's at Sacramento State. Yes, that Sacramento State. One time potential, maybe, but not really, Pac-12 target, Sacramento State. The same Hornets program that has stated aspirations and I believe plans officially to make the jump up to FBS college football. Could be a good fit for the Mountain West one day. That's not how Jaden Rashada becomes a Power 4 starting quarterback once again. Now, I thought UConn could have been a good fit, but Sacramento State accomplishes a lot of the same things. Now, they're obviously on different coasts, but they're very close to an ocean, close-ish, kind of. It's not as far as other places, all right? Let's just say that. So you go from one coast to the other. But the biggest thing for Rashada here, and why I like this for him, he's going to be out of the spotlight. Yes, FCS football, a sport that I have called for the last several years, it is great. It is wonderful. It is not as high profile in any way, even at the biggest programs, compared to major college football. Arizona State carries a lot more cachet and attention and drama and pressure than Sacramento State. He's going to be able to go there and just focus on football. They've raised a bunch of NIL money. I'm sure he'll be able to get what he is owed if he winds up being the starter, which, by the way, is not a guarantee. We have seen guys go to lower level programs before and not wind up being the starting quarterbacks. However, I don't think you bring in somebody like Jaden Rashada, who was looking at places like maybe Tulane or UConn or Western Kentucky, if you're Sacramento State, without the intention of having him be the starting quarterback. He was the highest rated quarterback available after Nico in the spring transfer portal window. Granted, that market isn't quite as hot as it is in the winter window when you've got a bunch of big names like John Mateer and Carson Beck and Malik Murphy going to Oklahoma, Miami, and Oregon State respectively. But still, this is a guy who has legitimate Power 4 talent. He's not the biggest guy in the world, but he's certainly big enough. He's got a good arm, quick release, he can move. He was a blue chip quarterback prospect, 5-star, borderline 5-star, for a reason. But all this attention, all this drama, even going back to his high school recruitment. Many years ago, I interviewed him when he was in an OT7 tournament, and there were a lot of different recruits there, and he was in the process of making his initial decision, which wound up being Miami before a flip to Florida. Before even that happened, this was before a lawsuit was brought against Billy Napier and the University of Florida, and he went to 2 other schools and wound up in the portal. Even before all of that, I cannot forget how exhausted he looked, how exhausted he sounded. He was tired of the whole process. I think this is a guy who just wants to play football and not worry about anything else. He can go to Sacramento State where he's got the talent to thrive, where he can play ball and just play ball and let all the other stuff just fade to the background. Let it play itself out. I hope it doesn't keep disrupting the kid's life as it has for the last several years now. I hope he can finally just play football and try to maximize the talents he has, which are immense. Hence why I continue bringing him up here on the show. Because this is someone who could very well wind up going to an ACC school or a Big 12 school and being a starter one day. Or maybe one of the lower level schools in or programs in the Big 10 or SEC. I don't know that the upper teams would take a chance on him after all of this, but are you telling me a Vanderbilt post Diego Pavia wouldn't look at Rashada if he goes to Sacramento State and tears it up? Like, just the ability to make his career about football instead of the non-football things is the best opportunity for him. So that's the first reason that I like Sacramento State. Second reason, This is a historically strong program. He's not going to go there and have no chance to win. This is a school that's getting very serious about sports. This is a school that has had wildly successful football seasons. Before he went to Stanford and got fired, this is where Troy Taylor came from. How did he get the Stanford job? He won a lot at Sacramento State. They got as far as, I believe, the FCS quarterfinals one year, or Elite Eight to put it in basketball terms. But this is a football show, so we'll just stick with quarterfinals. So I like that aspect of it. Third reason I like this for Jaden Rashada, he's going to Brennan Marion. You remember that name? Bet you don't. Or maybe you do, because he was the architect of what's called the go-go offense, which is a wildly entertaining and exciting thing to watch. He was the offensive coordinator at UNLV for the last couple of years under Barry Odom as they propelled themselves very nearly to the college football playoff and made the Mountain West Championship game 2 years in a row. He's a young up-and-comer. He wanted the UNLV job. They didn't give it to him. They went with the veteran Dan Mullen instead, who hasn't coached in a few years. I still think he can, but they didn't want to go with Marion in-house. They go out, and he, I'm sure, considered staying on, but when the opportunity came to be a head coach, he's known for a while. This is someone who's rising through the ranks, and if he goes to Sacramento State and succeeds, within 2 to 3 years, he could be out of there and coaching at a Power 4 school coming near you. So I like that fit for Rashada because I watched his offense last year, Brennan Marion's. They had success with Matthew Sluka, and then that NIL situation devolves. By the way, Sluka has, in the college football world, kind of fallen off the map. The grass is not always greener. They inserted Hajj Malik Williams, and what do you know? He also had success. So what that tells me is this is an offensive system with an offensive coordinator who's incredibly proven. I don't know if Marion's going to be calling the plays, but his fingerprints will be all over what Sacramento State does on the offensive side of the ball. He just showcased that his system can work at a school where it doesn't traditionally produce high-end quarterbacks or high-end programs and teams year in and year out. I should say teams, not programs, but high-end football teams on an annual basis, and he did it with multiple quarterbacks. So you've got a system that should be adaptable to Jaden Rashada's skill set. So that confluence of events, I think, is a really good thing for Rashada. I'm rooting for the kid. I am. I'm going to be following Sacramento State football anyway because I work in FCS college football and they pop up all the time. I hope that kid is able to find some success. I really do. I think he could be in a great situation, and I hope it works out. Appreciate everyone listening. I will see you next time, and until then, hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.